losing Garrett Cole is a nightmare for the New York Yankees, but the silver lining is that they'll get him back in the rotation at some point in the regular season. He shouldn't be gone for more than 10 to 12 weeks from now, which means we could see him back in the rotation at some point in late May or early June. Still, the Yankees are going to need to find someone to be a fifth starter and fill out that spot in the rotation in the meantime. First and foremost, I do understand that there is no replacing Garrett Cole. He's the reigning American League Cy Young winner and arguably the best pitcher in all of baseball. But with that being said, there are still plenty of options internally who could fill out the final spot in the rotation. And today, we're going over the options for the Yankees and who they could go to give them valuable innings as a member of their starting five. The first option we're going to look at is Luis Seal, who's probably the most popular name for a job in the rotation based on the spring training he's put together. Finally healthy after suffering a UCL tear in 2022, the hard-throwing righty has all the raw tools you want from an ace, especially with that power fastball that generates whiffs up in the zone. He's thrown multiple fastballs at 100 miles an hour in spring training thus far, and if you're looking for a pitcher whose style matches the power repertoire that Garrett Cole has, Heel is as close as you're realistically going to get. His slider has changed from the one we saw when he first came up, and that might be a way to prevent him from getting hurt again. It's still a strong pitch, and the new shape and firmer velocity might allow it to play better against left-handed batters who have given him trouble in his professional career. A new weapon he's developed as well is the changeup, as he's throwing it confidently while also getting great results on it. Batters have a 500 OPS against this pitch with a whiff rate north of 45%, and it finally gives him a starter's repertoire as he has three distinct pitches with different movement profiles. On the surface, Luis Seal will be a no-brainer. Nobody's performed better than he has on this list, and he also has MLB experience with the Yankees. Looking at his pitch mix, he throws a four-seam fastball between 97 to 98 miles an hour. As mentioned earlier, he can touch 100 miles per hour when he needs to, and his slider shape is tweaked, and it has more of that cutter kind of action or a gyro slider. It's a weird pitch, but it's gotten success, and it's easier to throw for strikes. And then looking at that changeup, that's that U pitch that's kind of separated him from the old version of himself that walked the ballpark and couldn't put away left-handed hitters. It's getting over 10 inches of vertical separation off of his fastball, while averaging about 15 to 16 inches of horizontal break to the arm side, and it's a nasty pitch. As mentioned earlier, batters are whiffing over 45% of the time against his changeup, and I truly think this is a difference maker for him, but there is still one massive issue regarding his chances of being a starter in this rotation. Since he had a UCL tear, that required Tommy John surgery, and he hasn't pitched much over the past couple years as a result, which means he still needs to be built up. He hasn't completed 5 innings in an outing since 2022, and the Yankees are going to need to carefully monitor his pitch count as they prepare him to handle the strain of being a full-time starter once again. What would make sense is for the Yankees to start Luis Seal in AAA for now and give him ample time to build up and become a starter once again. I still expect to see Luis Seal at some point this season, but it's just not on the roster that they have when they head to Houston on March 28th. Next up is Luke Weaver, who the Yankees brought in last season as a waiver claim, and were pleasantly surprised when the fastball cutter mix led to serious results. He made just 3 starts, posting a 3.38 ERA and striking out 16 batters in 13 1/3 innings, and the Yankees were impressed enough to give him a 1-year, $2 million contract for the 2024 season. You could logically assume that the 30-year-old would be their best bet for a 6th starter, especially since he has a lot of MLB experience. He's already made 106 starts in his career, and the Yankees brought him in on a guaranteed MLB deal for a reason. He relies on his fastball and his cutter a lot, with his fastball sitting between 92 to 93, 94 miles an hour usually. He can get up to 96, 97 on occasion, but that's very rare. His cutter is an interesting pitch because the Yankees have gotten it to get more vertical ride, and it sits in the upper 80s, lower 90s kind of range for velocity. Now, his stuff plus is up in spring training as some mechanical tweaks with his leg kick have led to a lower release height, and that's made his 4-seamer an even better pitch because that lower release height makes it a flatter angle. That flatter angle makes it harder to get underneath or even on top of, and his cutter has remained a strong offering even despite the mechanical changes, so there's a lot to like here. But the issue I have with Weaver is that he profiles a lot better as maybe a 1 or 2 times through the order kind of guy, not someone that you use 3 times through the order. The Yankees even view him in that way. They only had him face 18, 20, and 19 batters faced, and it seems that the Yankees view him as somebody who can be more of a versatile arm, not a full-time starter. Matt Blake talked about the direction the game is going and suggested that there can be more versatility in how pitchers are used. Here's the exact quote. "You can create more value by having more guys that can give you length. It doesn't necessarily need to be labeled starter or reliever, but stretching guys out and having hybrid roles will probably be a trend. A few teams basically ran 2-3-man rotations last year, with a bunch of flex guys picking up innings in different fashions. We used 3 or 4 of those types of hybrid roles at different points throughout the year. It allows you to utilize your personnel a little more creatively if done right. It seems like he'd be better suited for the role that Matt Blake described, where he can both start and come out of the bullpen. Seeing how the Yankees bullpen could already be taxed as they build up starters early on, I think Luke Weaver's best suited to be a long reliever and emergency starter, not somebody who should be asked to take the ball every 5th day for an extended period of time. It can burn out your bullpen, and it can result in a lot of ugly blowouts if you're in situations where you have to go to lesser leverage relievers in big spots. This isn't really a knock on Weaver as an arm. I mean, again, the guy's a major league pitcher, the Yankees gave him guaranteed money, and he performed well in that kind of short spot starter kind of role, and that's probably because he doesn't really have a strong breaking ball that can go away to right-handed hitters for strikeouts, and I think that's just going to hold him back as a starter. So again, put him in that bullpen role, more of a Johnny Brito than a reliable everyday starter, and I think the Yankees will still get plenty of value from that signing. Cody Poteet is another veteran they brought in on an MLB deal, and he's actually having a pretty strong spring training. He hasn't allowed a run yet, and he boasts a pretty solid 4-pitch mix with a sinker, 4-seamer, changeup, and a slider that's kind of become a sweeper in recent outings. The issue is that he's in the same boat as Luis Seal, as he underwent Tommy John surgery in 2022 and still needs to build up. I think it could be a bullpen option for the Yankees if needed, as unlike Luis Heel, building up Poteet as a reliever instead of a starter wouldn't have long-term ramifications on his ceiling, as it was already a question of whether Poteet would get MLB innings in the first place. When looking at his arsenal, there is a lot to like here. That 4-seam fastball comes from a lower slot, the sinker that he has is a little bit of a new pitch, he didn't throw it much until 2022, and it's good at keeping the ball on the ground. His changeup has always been an excellent swing and miss pitch and remains untouched, and that slider tweaking to a sweeper might give it more swing and miss capabilities against right-handed batters. So I'm definitely interested to see how his repertoire continues to develop, but there's just not much to say here. There's a lot of TBD when it comes to Cody Poteet, and I think he'll either end up in a bullpen role or in AAA continuing to build up as a starter and just waiting in the wings in case the Yankees need anybody. Clayton Beeter is someone who warrants mention, but it doesn't look like he's going to have a chance to make this rotation on opening day, as his spring training has been much better than a guy like Will Warren's, who has a much deeper arsenal than Beeter's, and Luis Seal has flat out outperformed him in the time span. Granted, Beeter is still somebody that warrants mention, as he is part of the pitching depth, and I did want to still talk about him. We acquired him in the deal for Joey Gallo back in the 2022 trade deadline, and in terms of his pitch mix and his stuff, I'm actually still intrigued by what he brings to the table. He has a pretty good 4-seamer and a pretty good slider, as the slider plays with both right-handed and left-handed batters, and is more of what we'd like to call a death ball. That means it sits right near the zero line horizontally and vertically as well. His 4-seamer is a cut-ride fastball, which means that it generates over 16 inches of induced vertical break on average, with less than 3 inches of arm side movement, and that makes it hard to hit because batters perceive that pitch as cutting when it's actually still moving to the arm side, which is the opposite direction. That kind of deception, again coupled with that slider that gets so many swings and misses, can make him a deceptive arm who gets a lot of ugly swings, but the lack of a third pitch still looms large. There's a chance that Clayton Beeter has the same struggles that Johnny Brito did last year as a starter with putting hitters away or struggling to get deep into games, and as mentioned earlier with Weaver, that could be a massive issue as the Yankees try and survive the weeks without the best pitcher on the planet. What the Yankees can expect from Beeter though is a lot of strikeouts, and as mentioned with his slider, he does still have a dominant pitch that can carve up opposing lineups. My fear is that hitters make the adjustment and know not to swing at the slider in the dirt, and when Clayton Beeter needs to set a batter down, he may not have another weapon to go to. The advantage that Clayton Beeter has over most 2-pitch pitchers is that both pitchers he owns should play well to lefties and righties, but that advantage wears off when hitters see him a second or third time through the order. Looking at pitchers who found success as 2-pitch pitchers, the best way to make it work is by having a non-fastball with high whiff properties, and a best case outcome for that kind of pitcher might be somebody like Kevin Gausman, who uses fastball and splitter about 89.3% of the time, and the reason it works is because hitters swing out of zone against his splitter all the time, while he's able to consistently locate the fastball in zone enough to get hitters to 2 strikes and in chase mode. Clayton Beeter doesn't have that same kind of consistency throwing strikes, but if he did, he could make it work as a 2-pitch pitcher because of how good the slider is, or he could just find a third pitch. My best bets would be a curveball or a cutter, but that remains to be seen. The final candidate is the one I think you all been waiting for if you follow me on Twitter, and that's Will Warren, who I ranked as the Yankees' number 7 prospect entering the 2024 season. The right-hander possesses both a dominant breaking ball and a deep arsenal, giving him a wide array of pitches he can throw in any count to any opponent. Warren uses a sweeper, sinker, four-seamer, cutter, and changeup, with no pitch dipping below 13% in usage rate at the AAA level last season. He made noticeable tweaks to his four-seamer usage down the stretch, throwing more of them up in the zone and getting strikeouts against lefties as well. Despite pitching in the International League, where the average ERA sat above 5 on the season, he posted a 3.61 ERA and won Pitcher of the Month in September with a 0.63 ERA across 5 outings. His most dominant pitch still remains his wicked sweeper, throwing at over 3,000 rotations per minute with 82 to 84 miles per hour as its average velocity, and it can get plenty of swings and misses, especially against right-handed batters. With over 17 inches of horizontal movement on average, what takes his arsenal to the next level is his sinker, which mirrors the spin of his sweeper, averaging over 16 inches of horizontal movement, but in the opposite direction. This sinker sits between 91 to 96 miles per hour, and he can rev it up to 97 or 98 on some occasions as well. His four-seamer isn't particularly great in terms of movement, but the lower slot release and the improved command of the pitch makes it an excellent swing and miss option up in the zone. The cutter and changeup are secondary weapons he can throw against left-handed batters, as they have plenty of vertical drop and different horizontal looks based on the opponent or sequencing. Warren blends a symphony of pitches together for excellent results, and that makes him unpredictable second or third time through the order. With a strong stuff plus grade to go alongside his wide array of pitches that include 3 different fastball variants, the right-hander makes the most sense to the final rotation spot based on his minor league success, prospect status, and volume in comparison to other pitchers in the race. It may sound hyperbolic, but I think Warren could contribute at the major league level instantly, providing not only volume, but also getting strikeouts and keeping the ball on the ground. He checks off all of the boxes of what you're looking for from a starting pitcher, and how Steinbrenner himself referred to Will Warren as somebody he didn't want to part ways with in a trade. If you let a rookie stop you from acquiring an impact player, that rookie should get the chance to become an impact pitcher themselves. The upside with Will Warren is that he can become a mainstay in your rotation, and if you were to live up to that potential, you could walk away with somebody who ends up being a middle-of-the-rotation arm for you and provides crucial starts to stabilize your rotation. Here's the scary reality. Garrett Cole isn't immortal. The Yankees found that out the hard way, and one day, he won't be the consistent ace he's always been, and Warren is a glimpse into that future. He's their best shot at finding an everyday regular in the rotation for now, and I believe that he should be the 5th starter as they head to Houston on March 28th. Who do you think should be the Yankees' 5th starter? Let us know in the comment section below, and check out some of our other content that we have in the works, as well as our social media channels, as we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, all under the handle Fireside Yankees. And you can check out our EmpireSportsMedia.com website, where we have all of our written content and written coverage of all of your favorite New York sports teams. Also, make sure you guys check out Fireside Bets. We're looking to build a strong foundation for betting content. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as also having our own Discord. Thank you once again for checking out this video and watching through to the end, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.